Calculate turnover ratio in basketball. The turnover ratio in basketball is a statistic that measures which player on the team is most likely to turn the ball over. For enthusiasts and fans, knowing the turnover ratio for specific players can be a valuable piece of trivia. For coaches and other professionals involved in basketball, it can be used as an assessment point for improving the team's performance. Here's how you can solve for the turnover ratio in basketball. Narrow down the player. Begin by narrowing down the number of players whose turnover ratio you want to compute for. It will be almost impossible to get the turnover ratio for all players, which means that you have to focus on just a few. Make sure, however, that you have at least 2 players in mind, so that you will be able to make comparisons. At the same time, you also need to determine the time frame for the sample that you are going to take of the ratio. You can have a single game as the time frame, or a season. You can even make a turnover ratio analysis of a player's career, which will give more accurate results since you are covering the entire career span of the athlete. Find the stats. Next, you will need to have several data at the ready. These include the field goals attempted, the field goals made, the free throws made, the assists, and the turnovers. Keep in mind that these data should come from the time frame that you have chosen. In other words, if you are going to analyze a player within a specific season, all of the data should come only from that season. If you are going to analyze the career of a player, then you should include all of the games that the athlete has played professionally. Multiply. Next, take the number of attempted free throws and then multiply this value with the number 0.44. Combine this with the total field goal that has been attempted. Possession total. The number you have just derived will then be used to compute for the possession total, which can be determined by adding the number from the previous step to the total turnovers and assists that the player has made within the time frame in question. Multiply. Once this is done, you will need to multiply by 100 the total turnovers. The resulting figure should then be divided by the sum of all possessions that has been made by the particular player. This will constitute your turnover ratio for the player that you are analyzing. As a rule, the number is usually rounded out to the tenth of the nearest percentage. You can follow the same procedure for other players so that you can create comparisons between one team and another. Keep in mind, however, that the comparisons should also be based on the same time frame. This means that if you analyzed a given player's turnover ratio for a season, it should also be compared to player whose turnover ratio is a season in length.